Hey folks, Dave here. I am on a mission to find a better model of Wally for my miniature photography purposes. And in the last video, I 3D printed and assembled this model of Wally right here. And this video, I was planning on spending it painting him up and getting him camera ready. But there's been a slight change of plans. And that is I found a even better version of Wally. So let me back up a little bit. What I value in a model, because my purpose is photography. The end goal of this is not to have a pretty model that sits on a shelf, is to have something to stick in front of a camera to make art with. For that, I want it as realistic and as flexible and as detailed as possible. Now this version of Wally here, what attracted me to it was one, that he's bigger, and usually bigger means more detail. It's easier to shoot. Second, he's fairly articulate. The heads move, the arms move, the treads particularly move, which is what interested me. And I thought it was grand, so I set about printing him off, which if you watched the last video, it took me 4 weeks of 3D printing and then some assembly, and it was all ready and good to go. But as I was finishing assembly, I started looking around the internet for other models and other projects to work on, and I stumbled across an even better version of Wally that fit all my check boxes. So let me introduce him. I'm going to put this guy aside and bring in this version of Wally. This guy is from Gambody. I'll put a link in the description so you can download this model yourself if you wish. Before we go any farther, you might want to ask what am I going to do with the old Wally, and probably what I'm going to do is my son has started this robotics immersion course at his high school, and so I'll probably just give it to him and let him finish up all of the electronics, because that seems like a perfect starter project if you're starting to get into making things move. It sounds like an interesting thing to do. So that model's not going to go to waste. It's just not going to be used for my original purpose, and I'm sticking with this guy right here. Okay, so things that I value with the Wally are details. For example, there are details in his lid, his front door here. It has a lot of damage marks. The back of his head has a bunch of tubes. The arms are articulate individually. The thumbs move, the hands move, the arms slide back and forth, which the other one doesn't, and it also moves up and down. The head moves and goes in all sorts of interesting places. Other things are that the other one doesn't have is the eyebrows. These little eyebrows here go up and down, which can be used for more expressiveness. The head tilts back and forth like so. In the back here, there is this little thing here that goes up and down. So it's just all a little bit more detailed and a little bit fitting what I hope for in a photographable Wally. It does have some downsides, I will admit. Well, the first downside is these arms don't like to stay where I put them, but that is a problem that I have often with the models that I shoot. So I have a couple techniques that I'm sure will be able to make that work. I don't need this to be movable and like play with all the time. I just need to be able to stick it in a position and have it stay there. Kind of like what that did, but in any position. So I'll have to fix that up. The other thing I need to do is just weather him up. He's got a very basic paint job. I painted him all off in like light gray filament. But I gave him a base coat of this yellow and this kind of a gunmetal gray mixture, just to kind of start him off with the paint job, because that part's not really that interesting. I didn't want to bore you guys with details of seeing me put on a layer of paint. I'm going to show you the more detailed, intricate stuff that I get on with for how to get this guy looking from the way it is now to actually looking rough and ready. All the rust, all the dust, and all that type of stuff that he's built up over the years. Wally is highly, highly detailed in that regard. So it should be a very fun paint job. How I get there, I have no idea. Like most of the things I do, I am half-assing this like nobody's business. But let's half-ass it together, shall we? One final thing with this model that is a slight problem is that he doesn't have any glass in his eyes. The other model was actually designed for a particular lens to slot right in and have glass in his eyes. This one isn't designed for that. It actually came with a piece that you could 3D print with clear filament, and I didn't think that would look good on camera. So I'm going to have to come up with a solution for that. I have something in mind, and hopefully it'll work, but we'll get to that when we get that far. But for now, I'm going to start to weather this guy and getting him all grungy and dirty and just rough looking like we really expect Wally to be. So let's get to it. All right, painting's done. Just one final piece, and that's the eyes. And I have a solution for that I think might work. I bought these Plano Perspex acrylic lenses off Amazon. They're not quite the right size from what I've measured these to be, but I'm hoping they'll fit just nice. So let's check that out. Let's pop them right in. Oh, oh yeah. That's sweet. All right, one Wall-E done, and look at him, and isn't he magnificent? This is pretty much the exact Wall-E that I wanted to have built. Yeah, that is what I am looking for. Those lenses just give the life to this figure, and I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It's all got all the details I need. It's a decent size. The paint job is okay. I still have a lot of work to do in perfecting my rust technique, but I think when I get this in front of a camera, it is going to look just fine. For now, I am going to call it a day, but before I do, I wrote a book. this book right here. It is all about toy photography, miniature photography, everything you need to know, from ideas to creating scenes to taking photos to post-processing. All you need. It's available on Amazon.com. Pick it up. It really helps the channel, really helps me. Yeah, buy the book. So that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button. Cheers, and I'll see you next time. Bye.